to make forgotten furniture fabulous with DIY paint, Paint Pixie paintbrushes, JRV stencils, and Iron Orchid design products. So, paint therapy, what is it? The two things that really feed my soul are painting furniture and researching ways to optimize my life. Kind of combine those two passions into this segment called Paint Therapy. So we are going together make something old or unfinished beautiful again, and I'm going to share with you some of what I've learned about a particular challenge in this thing called life. Today, we are going to put an IOD transfer on this crib, and we're going to talk about the concept of overwhelm. I don't know how many of you have issues with overwhelm. Give me a holla if so. But I have struggled with overwhelm since I was a small child. My parents, one of their favorite stories is when they would ask me to clean my room, and they would open the door and I would just be crying in the middle of my room. And I would just say, I don't know what to do. Because my brain does not easily take a bunch of tasks and break them down into manageable segments like some people's brains do. So I'm gonna first show you the transfer. Everything that you'll see me working on can be found at Village Chic Boutique in South Charleston, Ohio. And then myself, I can also be found on Instagram and YouTube at Carrie Lou Furnishings. Many of you have heard me talk about these beautiful transfers, and I cannot wait to get one out and finally play with them. Look how pretty. So as you can see, I cut out a portion of this to put on our crib tonight. The other thing is I really want this, especially as we get into talking about overwhelm, I really want this to be a conversation. So I'll share with you the things that I've learned that work for me, but I would want to hear what you've learned and what works for you, or what you struggle with too, because I really want, the goal of this is to build community. I always find this particular creative outlet very therapeutic, and I want to help you both see the therapeutic nature of painting furniture, but also get some real tactical conversation out of the deal. And then once I get this on here, I'll kind of be working on it for a minute, and then I want us to talk about overwhelm. When these come, there is the transfer, and then there's a backing sheet that's protecting it. So you don't take the backing sheet off until right before you're ready to use it. And then there's some really mild adhesive on the back that will help you keep it in place, but I like to put painter's tape also to make sure that it stays where I want it to be. Before I started doing these paint therapy segments, I sat and made a game plan, and we'll talk about my obsessive planning for 12 weeks of paint therapy segments, and what 12 things were that I wanted to talk about from week to week. And what's been funny is that, of course, I make that list, I put it away, and then I don't remember all 12 things until the week that I get it out to say, okay, what's this week? Well, every week has been something that I have really struggled with in some way or another that week. So it's like the universe is looking out for me in that regard. It's making sure that I'm talking through the things that I need to remember. This week is no different. It all started back on Friday. I picked my 7th grader up from school. My 7th grader got a cell phone for the first time ever in his life. His running joke is that he had an iPhone 0. He has made all of these plans for the weekend. It's a really interesting age when you are old enough to make plans, but not old enough to transport yourself to those plans. We had things scheduled over the weekend, and we got to add in the things that he had planned so that he got where he needed to go as well. And so thus began my series of Overwhelm, because then our weekend ended up more scheduled than I expected. The downtime that I kind of had banked on over the weekend was gone in a flash. And then Monday through Wednesday at work was Bananarama. And then I don't know if you're like me, but when I start getting overwhelmed, it tends to snowball. So it's like I felt more and more and more overwhelmed until it kind of like really came to a head yesterday evening. I have this taped on here. What do you guys think? Looks cool, huh? This is just with the plastic on still, so I haven't transferred it onto the crib. Okay, so your Iron Orchid Design Transfer comes with this little plastic stick, and you use that to just rub the transfer on. Starting on Friday, I was getting overwhelmed. It built and built and built. Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday at work, we were all super busy. And then I got home last night and just felt like my head was gonna explode. The only emotion you can use is overwhelm. I've developed some coping mechanisms, but I wasn't sure what exactly, like I didn't know how to put words to it until I knew I was gonna talk to you about it. And I realized everything's a little easier to remember with alliteration in my book. So I realized I could actually summarize it. You guys are gonna love this. With 4 P's. We're gonna do the 4 P's of dealing with overwhelm. Are you ready? First P, pause. When I'm overwhelmed, it feels like a snowball. It feels like a spiral. And so I need to do something to like stick a spoke in the wheel, kind of like pause the overwhelm. So last night I came home so extra stressed, and even though I wanted to just dive in and get through my list, I knew that I needed to just stop for a second. So I sat on the couch with my husband for a little while. Yesterday was one of those days that I just told him all the crazy things that had happened and how busy the day was. And it really felt good to kind of like stop and get things off my chest. And if he hadn't been here, I would have probably just like gone to my room and sat in my bed for a little while, because that pause is just so necessary to break out of that cycle of spiraling overwhelm. So my second P is plan. And it's less making a plan in that moment and more, one of the things that has helped me with overwhelm is having a plan in place for the day. So I am a crazy planner. I have a 5-year goal, I have a 1-year goal, I have quarterly goals, and then I break those down into months and I break those down into weeks. That's a whole other training. That really helps me, because what happens to me is that I know the direction that I want my life to go. But before I got really good with breaking that down into what I need to accomplish in the quarter, the month, and the week, what ends up happening actually for me is every Sunday night or Monday morning, I sit down and I write down every day of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I list 3, what Stephen Covey would call big rocks. 3 things that if I don't accomplish anything else that day, I'm gonna accomplish those 3 things. And that helps it become less overwhelming. So when I get overwhelmed, like last night, I paused. First step, pause. Second step, I looked at my plan. And I looked at, typically when I'm trying to accomplish 3 things in the day, one of them or 2 of them I can accomplish during the day, and then there's just 1 or 2 left for the evening. So there's really just a couple things I wanted to accomplish, and then there was 1 thing I wanted to do to prepare for the stuff that I wanted to get done today. So I came home, I paused, I looked at my plan, I realized what those things were that I needed to do, and then the next P, so we did pause, plan, perspective. The third P is perspective. Usually what you need to accomplish feels way bigger in your head than it actually is in real life. Taking a moment to really get perspective on how long it's really going to take to do those things. Like putting a coat of Big Top on this was going to take, honestly, like 5-10 minutes. And it felt like, oh, I've got home things and side business things and work things and all these things. But it was really like 3 things that were going to take me, like, effort-wise, like probably a half an hour total. Like maybe an hour for being generous. And it was 8 o'clock at night because I had gone to work out last night. And I'm like, I don't usually go to bed until like 10:30. So like I got an hour worth of stuff to do in 2.5 hours. That feels so much more manageable. So making sure you're really thinking about that perspective. And if you have trouble figuring out how much time to spend on things or how much time you will spend on things, there's a law of human behavior that says that work expands or contracts to the time that you give it. When I am not sure how much time something's going to take, I'll set a timer for a half an hour. And it'll be kind of like a game to see if I can get it done in half an hour, and most of the time I can. It is looking cool. All right, pause and plan. 3rd step, perspective. Stop and really understand what you're trying to accomplish and how long that's going to take. The other thing that you have to keep in mind when you think about perspective is sometimes I get overwhelmed because I think I need to accomplish 15 things today when really I could do 2 things today. So pause, have a plan. If you have a plan in place, it's like a safety net. And when everything goes sideways, you can go back to that plan. It helps ground you. Pause, plan, perspective. Make sure you understand what you really need to accomplish and how much time that's really going to take. And then the last one is push through. This is the one that is the hardest part. Because you sit down, I for one, when I sit down, I can sit down and plan it out, and then it's like, okay, getting moving to knock it out is the trick. So I have tactics for that. If you have trouble with this last step, which is when you actually have to just get done what you need to get done. Don't think about the 7,000 steps. I have right now, just to give some perspective on the week I've had at work, I have 1,100 emails in my inbox right now. Are 1,100 emails, the concept of having 1,100 emails in my work inbox, stressful? You betcha. But I have to sit down and break down what really needs to be accomplished right now and how much time that's going to take to get done. Last one, push through. This is my trick for that. I firmly believe that we are all children in adult bodies. We get as much joy out of incentivizing ourselves to do things as our children get when we incentivize them to do things. I like to bundle things I don't like doing with things I like doing. I'm like, okay, gotta do laundry. I've got to get an invoice out to a customer. I need to get a coat of Big Top on this crib so that I can do my live tomorrow. And all of that feels overwhelming, but I know exactly what I need to do to get it, what I need to do to get it done. So I have a podcast that I've been waiting all day to listen to. And because of all of the insanity of my day, I haven't got a chance to listen to it yet. So I'm going to throw in my AirPods and I am going to listen to my podcast and knock that stuff out. Almost done. Look at this. I got this much done. Just this last little bit. That's my biggest trick for pushing through. I am like, my work team got me AirPods for Christmas and they have been a lifesaver because it's like, I can just pop those puppies in, turn on some music, turn on a podcast, turn on an audiobook, and that's my happy place. And then I learn about all this great stuff and then I can come talk to you about it. So 4 P's. Pause. Have a plan. Get some perspective. Push through. Does that sound doable? Is there anything that helps you guys out when you're overwhelmed? But when I used to get overwhelmed, I would cry and rage quit everything and then take a nap. And those 3 things, not only do they lack alliteration, but they certainly don't get anything done. When you wake up from rage quitting and crying, everything's still there. Everything still needs to be done. So check it out. Well, there once was a picture. It has now disappeared. You guys ready to see this? How cool is that? So this is the crib. This is what it looked like before. This is the unfinished side, obviously. Because, you know, with prioritization, I was like, I need one side totally done so I can put this transfer on for my live. So this side is still sort of half done. What do you guys think? Leave a heart if you think that's pretty. Okay, so a couple misconceptions about transfers. 1, it is not glossy. So people think that they're like a sticker and they're gonna be like glossy, and they're not glossy. And the other thing I want you to see is the other thing that people think looks like a sticker. You ever put a sticker on something? It's like a picture and then it has like almost a border around it, either white or clear. Sometimes people call it a halo kind of around it. As you see, no halo. This truly looks like I painted those flowers on this thing, and I did not. All right, if you guys have any ideas for this dear community on Overwhelm, please leave them below. If you see this and you think, ooh, that would look pretty with, leave your ideas. This is still a work in progress, so I'm still trying to figure out. I really liked how this one framed this out. Trying to figure out if I need to put anything here, whether I should put anything inside, what I should put on the other side. Still working through that, but I think that just makes a humongous difference to me. I mean, to me, a plain pink crib like this would be like, oh, that's cute. And then you're like, ooh, look how beautiful that is. What do you think? Cool, right? Okay, I used IOD transfers today. I do not have Iron Orchid Design products yet up on my website. They're brand new to me, so I still need to get them loaded into the website. But paint, top coats, stencils, paint brushes are all on the website. And then if you are interested in any of these beautiful transfers or molds, you can just message me and I can get them to you. Or you can go into Village Chic Boutique in South Charleston, Ohio and pick them up. I will be there for the next 3 Saturdays. This weekend, I am doing a collaboration with a stained glass artist for a stained glass snowflake class. Next weekend is my sold out rustic wooden heart class. And the weekend after that, and the first Saturday of every month, I do live demonstrations. So I do this, IRL, in real life. I am working on a beautiful blended room divider right now that I will still be working on first Saturday in February from 11 to 1, and that is free. You can just come and hang out with me and drink coffee and watch me paint and ask me a bunch of questions, and it's good. It's good, we just hang out. In the next week or so, we'll have a February workshop planned, and then in March, if you want to come try this out yourself, this kind of thing, if you want to come paint your own piece of furniture, as long as you can carry it with one hand, you can bring your own piece to a March class, and I will show you how to paint it and top coat it and make it look pretty. And you can bring it in old and sad and leave with it fabulous. So that's the next few months at the boutique. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I will see you next Thursday right here for our next edition of Paint Therapy. Love you guys. I am a planner, like to a nth degree. I got this on my shoulder like a firefighter. How hardcore is this?